All right, let's get into stock market technical analysis. We'll look at what's going on in the markets today. Again, if you guys are finding value, please feel free to join up on the private member group, posting additional market insights and trade ideas in that private member group. Link in the description below if you're interested. All right, triple Qs. Still in the bearish rising wedge, and we are just kind of waiting for earnings. All right, we've got more large cap tech earnings today, and then Apple, I think, comes out on Thursday. Then we'll, for the most part, be clearing out those earnings. NVIDIA comes a couple weeks from now. So most of the large cap tech earnings will be out of the way, and the market will be free to react. So no change there on the triple Qs. Google, this one reported, gapped up. Again, I didn't see any clear direction in the charts, so there definitely wasn't a short. I did not see a viable short. But you can see here we've gapped right to this gap. There's a gap right there. We gapped up and we filled that gap. So that is resistance. A gap fills are oftentimes, backfilled, and that's resistance. And so far, there's been nothing but selling at that gap. Let me drop down to the hourly chart here. You can see the price action, the move up, right? Just to understand the psychology of what's going on here. The move up was all in the after hours and the pre-market, and so when we opened, we pretty much gapped up, and so that's the move up was all done in pre-market, really thinly traded session, and then during the regular hours where big money can actually move, they have been taking profit. That's what's been going on today. Now that doesn't necessarily indicate a sell signal, could just be kind of a profit-taking move on the gap up. But, that's what the big money's been doing. So we'll watch this. I don't see, it's at resistance. Or it's, up there at 182-ish. That's resistance. So could continue to pull back. I don't see any real sell signals. And likely this one's still going to kind of chop around as those other big tech cap stocks report earnings. So not much to really cover there. Meta is coming out after the bell. This one is diverging higher right now. We do have negative divergence. We still have this uptrend line coming off the lows, reactions. You can see support. So we're still holding that. And there's really no sell signals on this one. So really hard to short this one into earnings, although it definitely is set up somewhat bearishly. I'm not shorting it. All right, I'm going to wait for earnings to come out. We'll see what this thing wants to do. We have been seeing pretty large gap downs on misses necessarily, so something to kind of look, keep an eye out for. Could get large gap downs, but there's still just no real signs to short this thing right here and now. Tesla still trading, still kind of battling out with this trend line. I had one subscriber say I adjusted my trend line. Well, here's the one thing. I've actually had this trend line for a while. I think previously I had it slightly lower, but in general, this is trend lines can be adjusted to capture the most reactions. You're always trying to capture the most reactions to validate a trend line. If you get additional reactions at different levels, you can adjust those trend lines as long as you're capturing the most reactions. So I've got resistance, resistance, resistance. There's 3 reactions. The minimum to make a trend line is 3. Here's 4. Here's 5. All right, so I have 5 trend lines. So that is the trend line that I have, the downtrend line. We did break out, okay, for sure. That's a breakout right there. You broke above there, and there was decent volume on the breakout. So I can't say that this is a screaming short. As of right now, it's a breakout, and we're back testing support right there. That is very true. However, the breakout, if you notice, is a divergent high. Let me just kind of clear this up. All right, look, we broke out right here, made new higher highs in prices, but over that former high. But look at the momentum, lower momentum. All right, on the RSI and the PPO. So that's a breakout that's occurring with negative divergence, putting the very high probability that breakout actually fails, and it's going to be a false breakout. And again, just going with the prevailing trend. All right, the prevailing trend is down. All right, when we have a breakout, a divergent high breakout, which I believe will fail and will make another push lower. So that's why I'm leaning towards this actually being a short and we're kind of at objective levels to short. Okay, Microsoft, they also report earnings after the bell today. And, I don't see a whole lot here in Microsoft. I mean, we're obviously, we're kind of, momentum looks okay. I mean, it doesn't look horrible. We do have dropping momentum here, but we also have dropping price. So there's no divergence, and the trend is up. So, definitely not a short in my mind. It could break down, but there's no clear signs technically that tell me that this is likely to break down. So personally, it's, for me, it's just a no, it's a no touch. Gonna just let this thing play out, see where the earnings go, and then we'll look for actionable information on that one. All right, so that's it on the tech stocks. Banking, regional bank, FITB still looks like a good short setup. Not actionable yet. And if you watched my video yesterday, I did take a starter short position. I'm stepping in early. I'm anticipating a break of this bearish rising wedge with negative divergence. All right, that's me. There's no sell signal and there's nothing says that's going to work. But if it does work, I'll have a very good entry, and I'll add to that if we do get the breakdown. Widest part of the wedge, depending on when we break, would give us a major target. I need to actually adjust this now, but basically right around that 32-ish mark. Okay, so that's that one. And then what else looks? LLY played out nicely this morning. In the private member group early this morning, we were trading way down here. We were way down here around the 778 area. I put out a post to everyone in the private member group saying we overshot my first target to the downside, which was right here at 790.53. You can see lots of reactions that were resistance. Then it was former support, and we overshot it. So I took profit there. I exited my LLY short, and at the moment in time, it was down. It was down about 14%. So very good short on a one-day drop. Took that short. I expected a bounce at that level. We got a bounce, ran all the way up to resistance right here. You can see the reactions, resistance at about 858. Put out another private member group post saying this is an objective area to short. After we covered our short early this morning, it was another objective area to short, and I figured we were going to probably close the day at or near the 200 simple moving average, which is about sitting at 76.0, or not, what is that? 822.80-ish, right in there. And that's kind of where we're at. So I took a short again at that resistance, went down, and I cut, and I've since put out another post telling you when I closed out my short. So I'm flat. I don't have an LOY position, but we did catch that little 3.5% drop from that resistance. So all together with the first initial 14% drop when we opened this morning, and then reshorting it at resistance again for a move down to the 200, makes for about a 17% day. So very profitable on that one. And again, the downside comes quick. So that's why I talk about these trade setups typically weeks in advance, because they usually take weeks to play out, and then when they do play out, they usually play out very quickly. So you can see that we basically wiped out pretty much 2 months worth of gains. Even if you bend it back here, we've wiped out half the year's worth of gains in one day. And so those bulls are trapped now. Where we go from here, I don't know. We do have a potential downtrend line, so maybe it wants to rally back up. I don't know. I need to let the dust settle and kind of reevaluate this one. I mean, in general, we made a 17% gain in one day, so that's usually pretty good to kind of move on. I think there's probably some more downside over time, but in the short term, where we go, I don't know. I don't have a good read on it. I think we could bounce, but maybe not. So moving on from that one. Costco, I still like this as a short. It's not going to be a big mover, or it shouldn't. It's kind of a big blue chip stock, but you've got support. There's a reaction there. We've broken support, and we're kind of drifting sideways. The sideways horizontal support shelf is about 873. So you break that, you should head down to about 837.60. All right, so I like that for the move. Clean and clear negative divergence. Look at that momentum just dropping off. So the upward price action lost momentum, started to lose momentum back here in July, but it carried on for a while, and you continued to make divergent highs. There's a divergent high, there's a divergent high. But we've now broken that uptrend line, and the momentum's gone. Price should follow. So I'm looking for downward price action in Costco. Still like that as a short. CMG, this one's kind of already started to play out, so it's definitely not as objective of a short. But in general, this is Chipotle, bad earnings, bearish rising wedge, slight negative divergence here, not a lot. The widest part of the wedge puts this thing down at about 52.70-ish. We're about halfway there now. So I think there's some more downside there to hit that measured target. So that's really it on that one. I took a small little position on this after hours yesterday, and I closed that out today because it's just not very objective to short something after it gaps down huge like that. So typically, yeah, so that's it on that one, but wanted to point it out in case you're in it. SMCI got smoked today, down 32%. I'm not in this one, but it is coming into some support right in here. You can see, I don't have it marked out, but look at that right there. You've got a big breakout candle here. You've got resistance, big breakout candle. Below it now, so this thing could just continue to flush out. Looks like there's some more support down here at, this is about 23.30-ish, somewhere right in there. Yeah, so we could see some more downside on that one or a potential bounce. I'd probably be leaning towards downside. This is a big momentum stock, and it's just it just runs up on momentum and then crashes on momentum as well. So I think there's probably some more downside on that one. And I really like this one, MPWR. It just looks like a great short setup. It's not actionable yet. We don't have a sell signal, but we have clear negative divergence. Momentum's just dropping off. And you see what happens in these semis, they come with big gap downs, big gaps. So big bearish rising wedge. Earnings coming out basically today after the bell. So if earnings are great, they'll probably gap this thing up around the resistance here. Probably overshoot it a little bit, run a bunch of stops, and then get sold into. Because again, it's a bearish rising wedge with negative divergence. So gap ups will likely get sold into. If earnings are bad, it's going to gap down and probably gap down to the 200-day. Down there around 772, 75. Open up there. You'll have some buyers stepping in at that 200-day. So could gap down and then see a bid at the opening. That's the way I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards a gap down. It would be a drop of about 15% or so. And then the buyers will likely buy it up early in the morning off that 200-day for a rally. Okay, so that's that one. I like it. But again, it's high risk stepping into things right ahead of earnings. So it could go either way. If you like it to the downside, I personally, the way I like to do it is take a half position and then you can add to it if you get a good entry. If you don't get a good entry and it just gaps down, you caught a good trade on a half position. And that's mostly what I have for today. So I'm going to get the video out, putting out a lot of videos this week just because it's such a high volatility week. There's lots of things kind of playing out very quickly on earnings reports. So I definitely want to kind of keep you guys up to date on that. Again, private member group in the link in the description below. It's $5 a month. Check it out. Cancel anytime you want. Really no obligation. The most you're going to lose is $5. So, if you don't like the service, check it out. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Take care.